You know, when I started this process this morning with trying to get Facebook to go live, it was actually almost completely dark behind me, which would have been a great special effect for the purpose of this video. But Facebook doesn't like to play that way sometimes. So here we are, as the sun is coming up. And really what I want you to be able to notice is, you listen closely. I intentionally don't have a lapel mic on because I want you to hear what's going on behind me. What you see is a quiet, peaceful lake. But if you look far enough in the distance, you'll see the blue neon lights of the Texas Motor Speedway. And right on the other side of the big tree line past the lake is Interstate 35. In fact, it's the intersection of Interstate 35 and 114, and where the world becomes a bustling part of North Texas with traffic, tens of thousands of cars every day flying past that intersection. What does that have to do with the cycles of life, you might ask? Well, if you listen close enough, you'll hear some of the cars, especially if a motorcycle or a sports car goes by, you'll hear that, or a big semi. Of course, if there was a wreck, you'd definitely hear that. But you can also listen close enough to hear thousands of birds. And the more the sun comes up, the more the birds tend to kind of fly back into the shadows, if you will. But early in the morning when it's still dark out here, you can actually hear the birds over the cars. Hi, I'm J Loren Norris, and you're watching the Leading Leaders podcast. I want to talk to you today about some observations that most of us have made, but I'm not sure how many people act on. And when I say act on, I mean things happen in our lives that we realize are important, but not at the time that they happen. It seems like those cycles and seasons, they come around and they come around and they come around, and we don't realize at the time that it's happening to us just how important what's happening to us might be. I spent last Friday in the hospital room with my mother after driving 3.5 hours in traffic to get there and 3.5 hours in traffic to get home. We had to be at the hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to leave the house at 3 in the morning to be at the hospital by 5 for a check-in to do a day surgery. A surgery that to the doctors is kind of we do these. It's not a big deal. There are some risks associated with any surgery, obviously, but this particular one is, it's, if we don't do it, it's life-threatening. If we do it, there's some risk, but not doing it is definitely life-threatening. Well, how do we get to this place? Was she in a car accident? No. Was she injured in some other way? No, not particularly. But see, there were some signs in the cycle of life, like fainting spells, just falling down on the floor for no reason at all. One day she was sitting watching TV, and suddenly her right eye was so blurry she couldn't see the TV, and so she would cover her eye and watch the TV this way. And nobody thought anything about it, except that's kind of inconvenient. So my sister took her to the doctor and diligently pursued until the doctor said, we really need to take some do some tests. And they came back and found out that she had one particular blockage of close to 80%. Now, I don't know where you are with your age, with your health, with the various things going on in your life, but I can tell you if things like that happen, fainting spells, dizzy spells, or forgetfulness, when you reach that place where your speech is so slurred, you're not sure what it is that's coming out of your mouth, but it's not what you're thinking. When you're looking at something and suddenly one eye or the other goes completely blurry, that's a pretty significant sign that you need some help. Now let me lay that as a transparency over our leadership and ask, what are some of the signs and symptoms that your leadership is in need of major surgery, that your organization is off track, that the signs and the seasons and the cycles of life are catching up to you and you're not doing anything about it? See, sometimes we look so far down the road at our destiny that we forget that we've got things we have to deal with right here, right now, today. There are issues and relationships and tasks which demand our attention right here, right now, today. It's easy to look way off and go, well, one day I'll have the multi-million-dollar corporation, or one day I'll lead this global foundation, or one day and one day and one day, and we forget that there's a cycle today. See, if this camera stayed on all day, you would see the sun come up over this lake, and it looks like we were going to have some partly cloudy day, but it's going to be gorgeous out here. And after about 9 o'clock, the traffic sounds will die down and the bird sounds will come back up, and life will continue as it is. Where we are right now with the hustle and bustle of traffic, it won't be there all day. In fact, even in the evening, it doesn't get as loud as it is right now. And in the evening when the sun sets, it sets right on the other side of that lake. You can see the reflection of the ball of the sun coming across the water. And ironically enough, when the moon is at its brightest, it sits right over that lake too, and you can see the reflection of the moon on the lake. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And if you just sat here all day and saw all the cycles of life and the wildlife moving around and the raccoons coming in and out of the woods, and you would realize that every day looks the same. The same traffic in the morning, the same sunrise, the same sunset, the same moon coming out, the same critters around the water, the same people walking their pets, the same ones playing with their fishing poles in the water. But every day is a little bit different. Every day is one step closer to destiny. Every day is one more chance for a fainting spell. Every day is one more chance for your leadership to be completely off track, for a relationship to go awry, for a customer to change their mind and go with a different company, for a client to decide you're not the right one anymore. Every day is a new cycle. And as John Maxwell says in his big fat book, every day matters. What you're doing today, the decisions you're making today, these are not distractions from your dream. These are not detours on the way to your destiny. These are the decisions, the ones you make today, the relationships you're in today, the people you spend time with today, the things you write in an email, in a Snapchat, in a post. Those things matter today. And today will have implications for every day forward. What you eat, what you think, what you speak, the decisions you make about customers, about vendors, all of those. They're going to impact your today, your tomorrow, and eventually your destiny. Now let me add one more thing to the mix. See, many of us get what John Maxwell calls the destination disease. And I've been on both sides of that coin. How do you plan for a big long future and a legacy, and how much money will you have to have in the bank when you die, and how much insurance will you have to have when you die, and what things will you own, and who do you pass it down to, and we look at all of those things. I want my company to be a multi-million-dollar company. I want it to be in 8 different countries. I want it to have this kind of impact. I want to leave this amount of money for each of my kids and grandkids to go to college, and the list goes on, and we plan on that. And we should plan on that. We should plan to take care of the next 2 to 3 generations with our wealth and our talent and our abilities. But we also forget that while that is our desire and our dream in this life, there's something greater calling us to be better us. Jimmy Evans spoke about rejection yesterday. And it's amazing when you look at rejection in the way that it causes what looks like the beginning of a spider web. It's nothing when it happens. A little crack in the windshield and you think, well, that didn't feel right. But it's not just the crack that starts in the windshield. It's not the tiny little spider web. It's all the tentacles that it creates and all the places in your life that rejection gets involved. And then you begin to feel rejected when you're not rejected. You begin to give rejection when it's not deserved. It's an amazing process. But see, it is part of the process. It's part of the daily cycle. It's part of those things that you have to choose to say or not say, to write or not write, to be or not be. Because tomorrow, the sun's probably going to come up. And the environment around you is not going to change a whole lot. At least it won't look like it. But it could be that tomorrow, when the sun comes up, your nearest, dearest loved one isn't here. It could be that tomorrow when the sun comes up, or tonight when it sets, that you won't be here. And the question that you have to ask yourself every day: have I done things today that will matter here, tomorrow, and for eternity? And if the answer to that question is, well, no, I've just focused on myself, or no, I've just focused on my business, or my legacy, or my income, then take a moment to stop and do an evaluation. Remember, leadership is influence, nothing more and nothing less. But the daily cycle that you live in, the seasons of your life, every day matters. Because every day you influence people around you. Every day others are looking at you and saying, what if I was more like that? Every day. And every day you have a chance to change you. Every day you have a chance to influence someone else. Every day is a part of that cycle. And the process is about making you who you are. It's not just the destiny. It's not just the dream. It's the everyday cycles of life. The ongoing seasons of life. The process to make you the best you've ever known. Take some time and invest in that. It's the only chance you get. This life, right here, right now. Make it a great one. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.